Because I'm a taxpayer, I refuse to give up on our publicly funded ABC, although perhaps I'm a bit naive in doing so. I noticed the other day, if you hover over the page title in the tab, it now says ABC News, trusted source of latest news and headlines. I always have my doubts when somebody claims they can be trusted. It seems like a very insincere thing to say. It reminds me of that old saying, trust me, I work for the government. Technically, all these ABC reporters do work for the government, so perhaps we can trust them, tongue-in-cheek. I don't ever remember seeing this title before, so I checked out the Wayback Machine, a digital archive of the internet. My instincts were spot on. Less than a couple of months ago, October 25th, the title read, ABC News, read the latest news and headlines. So yes, they have only recently claimed that they are a trusted source of information. As the King once said on social media, or so I've been told, you can trust the ABC as much as you can trust the BBC. And I think that's a valid statement, no matter what side of politics you're on. I saw this headline earlier, the hidden impact of fat shaming in Australia's medical system, and I thought that sounds like an interesting, unbiased article. Silly me. It's titled, The Casualties of the War on Obesity. Just so that we're all on the same page, according to the latest report by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare on Overweight and Obesity, June 2024, 71% of men and 61% of women were living with overweight or obesity. So the facts state that men are overrepresented or disproportionately affected by obesity. In the ABC article, do you think that's what is portrayed? The image on screen should give you a clue. Of course, throughout the article, there are pictures of women who have been fat-shamed in Australia's medical system. I looked through the entire article and there's not a single picture of a man, as far as I can tell. One would think that only women experience stigma about their weight here in Australia. I should have probably stopped at the introduction. For generations, words like fat, obese and overweight have been thrown around like hand grenades. In medical settings, the damage dealt can last generations, and the victims are overwhelmingly female. They offer no proof of this, they simply state it. The quotes are even more telling. He turned around and looked me up and down and had the most disgusting look on his face. She's referring to the doctor who examined her, by the way. Fat, fertile, female, and most likely flatulent. Too fat to feel your baby. Overweight, awful, dangerous. She made me stand on a scale and she lectured me about how bad my weight was. At least they're not trying to claim that it's only male health workers participating in fat shaming. It made me feel like a failure. That was 6 years ago, and I still get emotional about it now. Every woman felt judged by the size of their body, and the standard of care they received changed as a result. Her doctor refused to take her blood pressure with an appropriately sized cuff for her arm, resulting in consistently high readings. Her GP told her women, particularly obese women, exaggerate their pain and that if she just lost weight while immobile, it would fix the problem. Evie has pursued a PhD in weight inclusivity. Weight stigma has pervaded every element of her life. Okay, you get the idea. I've literally scoured this article for any mention of men or males, and the only thing I could find was, now her sporty and determined firstborn son watches what he puts in his mouth with a sense of fear, seeing the stigma she suffered now pass along generational lines makes Cara mad. And her doctor put her on a set of scales, measured her weight and BMI, and told her she was unlikely to be able to have kids. Her husband filed a complaint and the doctor disclosed Zoe's BMI to him without her consent or request. The doctor disclosed her BMI to her husband. Surely the husband already had some idea that his wife was overweight. What exactly is being disclosed here? Okay, fair enough. She didn't give consent. That's the point, I suppose. To be fair to the ABC, it's not like they've always been like this. In this article published almost 5 years ago, what does fat shaming and weight discrimination do to your health? They do specifically mention men. Weight stigma affects men and women, with bigger men often seen as being less masculine than their leaner counterparts. But 5 years later, suddenly it seems to be only women facing discrimination, or at least that's how they portray it. The victims are overwhelmingly female. Only a few years ago, I was overweight. I was 80 kilograms. Perhaps it doesn't sound like much, but for my height, it was considered overweight. The funny thing is, I'm a vegan. Don't let anybody tell you that vegans can't put on weight. They can. Trust me, I work for the government. There's plenty of unhealthy vegan food out there. Anyway, I went to see the doctor about an unrelated health issue, and after checking me out, he told me that I needed to lose weight. Ideally, I should be around 72 kilograms for my height. He told me about all the health risks associated with being overweight, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and so on. I could have left his office and rung up the ABC and told them that my doctor is fat-shaming me, or I could listen to the doctor and try to lose some weight. And that's exactly what I did. I'm currently sitting at around 75 kilograms, which isn't quite my goal weight of 72, but it's getting close. Am I angry at the doctor? No. His job is to help his patients. Sure, sometimes the truth can hurt. I'm not saying I liked being told that I was overweight, but I took his advice as just that, medical advice. Of course, doctors should try to be empathetic and try not to make their patients feel unnecessarily bad, but sometimes a small dose of tough love is required. Unfortunately, we live in a world that encourages body positivity, a movement that promotes the acceptance of all body types. Obviously, from a health point of view, this can be disastrous. Excessive societal approval of overweight and obese individuals could ultimately dissuade these people from improving their health, leading to lifestyle disease. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that this isn't a serious issue. I'm not trying to discount the experiences of these women who have experienced fat shaming. However, by the ABC making it sound like only women experience these issues is disingenuous. It's discounting the experiences of half the population, and that breeds division. As I said, the ABC are a taxpayer-funded organisation that are supposed to represent all Australians, but clearly in this instance, they don't.